Hello and welcome to the Waste of Web Space podcast, episode 51.
Starring
Jimbo.
and Fisher.
And it's good to be back into a new year, 2020. First podcast of the new year.
New decade.
New decade.
We've got 2020 vision.
Yep, and it's a good year for you because it's cricket, 2020, isn't it?
You'd have thought so.
Is there any plans for doing anything this year with cricket?
Well, do you know, actually, it's strange to mention that because I don't want to veer off too much about talking about cricket already, not when we're sort of like about 30 seconds into the podcast.
Okay.
But the England and Wales Cricket Board have launched a brand new competition in the year 2020. And guess what it's called?
Something to do with 2020?
Nope, it's called the 100.
Oh, right, okay.
Instead of playing the 2020 format, they're calling it another format called the 100. But yeah, we'll gloss over that a little bit.
It's worth pointing out our episode today is called Dry January, Your Eyes Mate.
Dry January, Your Eyes Mate. That's a reference to the song by The Streets, isn't it?
Yeah, and the fact that it's Dry January. And it's such a shame that people have such a nice time for the months running up to Christmas and then decide that they want to punish themselves for a month and not have the things that they like at all. Not just cut down, not have it at all. If you're talking Dry January.
Well, I'm participating in Dry January again. I don't know whether you are, Jimbo.
Well, I'm going to have to now tonight because every time you do this, it means I have to have a non-alcoholic beer.
Well,
and I've even gone to the effort of buying them this time.
Well, I think when it comes to the amount of times I've bought beer compared to you, I think we know who's in the lead on that one.
I buy the specialist ones, though.
Yeah, well...
And before Christmas, I went down to the Moore Market, Beer Central in the Moore Market, and I made an effort to buy a range of beers we've not yet tried.
Yeah.
And you've now announced it's Dry January. And not only that, you're saying that you might go even longer than January.
I was thinking of doing it for 100 days.
Right, okay.
Which... Can you remember back to 2013?
Are you just trying to be better than Jesus?
Well, it's not 40 days and 40 nights.
So did you do it for 80 in total then?
I don't know. Was
he not using the 24-hour clock?
I don't know. Are you getting confused with someone who went around the world in 80 days?
I'm not sure.
It's difficult in terms of what happens on certain days. But I thought that back in 2013, if you remember, I wrote a blog for the Waste of Web Space blog.
I don't think anybody remembers that, but yeah.
Well, I actually scrolled back and found some of them a few weeks ago. They weren't very good, but never mind. I did that for 100 days.
Oh, right, okay,
I thought it was quite good fun, literally blogging every single day. So I wonder whether I could not drink this time for 100 days.
Yeah.
Just do a 100-day challenge at the start of the year.
I think you should also do a video or blog at the same time as well.
What, of me struggling to do it?
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be fine.
We should also mention that this is the second episode that we are attempting to video and put online. We got the first one on, didn't we?
We did.
With great difficulty. It's not as easy because when you record things on iPhones, which iPhones have a great quality for the video, but it's a nightmare getting anything off a phone, I found.
Is it?
Compared to an old traditional video camera. So we'll try his best to get this on video as well. Now, I've accidentally made the mistake of wearing exactly the same as I wore last time on our Christmas episode, which is a plain black jumper and a polo shirt underneath, which is exactly the same. I have wore other things since the last podcast, by the way. It's just come full circle. So, and you've made the same mistake as well, haven't you?
Yeah, well, last time I wore a Christmas jumper because it was Christmas, so I thought, in sympathy with you, I'll put a different Christmas jumper on just to make you feel a bit more comfortable. It's quite good, this one. It says on it, ho, ho, ho.
Right.
Although I don't know if that's sort of whether it's got the mirrored image when we record it, so it might say, oh, 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 oh. But
right, okay. Well, so that's worth 15 points in Scrabble.
By the looks of it. Yeah, it's got Scrabble tiles underneath it as well, which is quite good.
Excellent. So that's for anyone who can't see and who is listening to this. Anyway. So speaking of Dry January then, as I said, I have brought the beers in today and we've got a can each because I've gone down the aisle at Asda to try and find, other supermarkets are available, to try and find something a little bit different because what have we tried in the past? We've tried that Budweiser
Prohibition, I think it was.
Which was disgusting.
Yeah.
And what else did we try? I'm sure we had something else last year. Did we have Nanny State once?
Nanny State by
I nearly bought that,
Brewdog.
but I'm pretty sure we'd had that. But that's all right. That's not too bad.
I think I've actually still got a can of that downstairs because I refused to drink it.
The one we've got today is called Piston Head. There you go. Dry hopped lager. It's called Flat Tire, if that makes it any more appealing. I'm not sure if it does.
There's a lot of car things going on, aren't there?
Yeah.
Piston head. I mean, a piston head's not got anything to do with a flat tyre, has it?
No. It's it's lager from Brutal Brewing, and I think it's London based, I believe.
Is there a play on words there with pisshead, do you think?
Possibly, yeah.
Doing a non-alcoholic beer.
London lager, anyways, it is. So should we give it a go? And it's supposed to be dry January. It's got 0.5% alcohol in it.
I think that's acceptable.
You sure?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because we're not doing well, are we? And if it's day 6 for you, and there we go. So let's have a sip and give us your opinion.
It smells horrible to start with, doesn't it?
I don't think it's too bad. It's definitely better than the probation one.
Prohibition.
Okay.
Yeah. It had not been put in prison, but whoever brewed it should have been.
Yeah.
It's just a bit flavourless, a bit tasteless, isn't it? Do you not think?
Yeah, it tastes a bit watery, doesn't it? But it's a good attempt. And on with that, it's not just dry January, but people do a lot of vegan stuff, don't they? Veganuary, and
yeah, of course.
Try and eat less meat and all sorts of different healthy things in January. I'm going to go swimming after this. I did do it before Christmas as well.
What's that going to do with a vegan?
I'm going to be healthy.
Do you go to a special vegan set? You're not a vegan anyway, but they don't have. You know, you can get things about cross contamination. Yeah. You can't sort of think, tell you what, I've gone in the same swimming pool as a meat eater, and we can't have that for a vegan.
Well, no. I decided that. Well, a while ago actually, I decided that at my own house I will try and not have as much meat. So I refuse now to buy meat products for my house. I will only buy fake meat products.
Does your house eat meat products? Is that what you're telling me?
But that's what I do. So I've been doing that for quite a while now. So that's like any sausages, the vegan or vegetarian sausages, any burgers, any chicken nuggets, any sort of southern fried stuff. It's all non-meat based products or plant-based products. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while. I even went to KFC the other day and I ordered a vegan burger because they've got a burger now on the menu, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I asked for lots of extras on it, like mayonnaise and bacon, and so there you go. I was trying.
I was intrigued because the other day I was watching an interview with two chefs, two brothers from Sheffield, who have opened up a vegan restaurant somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it is, and they were getting interviewed by someone on Calendar News, and the person who was interviewing basically said, "Veganism is very popular at the moment, isn't it? For example, KFC have released a vegan burger." He thought, imagine actually owning your own specialist vegan restaurant and someone starts talking to you about KFC. But Burger King have got a vegan burger as well.
Yeah. Greg's, following on from the success of the vegan sausage roll, have brought out a vegan steak bake.
I'm really not bothered, but has it annoyed Piers Morgan?
Probably has.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well done, Greg. But the Burger King, though, they've got a vegan burger. Do you know what? Oh, sorry, they've got a meat-free burger.
Yeah.
Not suitable for vegans
or
vegetarians.
Okay.
Because
vegetarians.
Yeah, they still cook it on the grill with all the baked products. So
they didn't think about that.
Well, what's the point in actually bringing it out? I mean,
they didn't think about that one, did they?
Not quite, no.
But anyway. So, are we going to get on with the news, or was there something we needed to come back to from our last episode?
I've got an apology of the week.
Oh, okay.
I was going to mention something on the podcast last week, but I forgot.
All right, okay.
I've got two apologies of the week, because when you mentioned at the start of this episode, talking about Dry Your Eyes by the Streets, I was going to ask you a quiz question, but I forgot. So, here's my quiz question for you. Who originally sang the chorus on the original recording of Dry Your Eyes by the Streets?
Chris Eubank.
No. What? So why would it be Chris Eubank? What?
You asked me this question before the podcast, and I answered Chris Eubank. Then it's still not Chris Eubank.
Still not Chris Eubank.
Right,
no.
Okay.
Oh, that means people have got on the video have got to see me like act and pretend that I'm amazed by your answer, which I don't think I'm going to get any acting work, am I? Really? But never mind. So
no, let me have a serious guess.
To be fair, you're half right.
Am I?
Yeah.
Is a boxer?
No.
Oh. It's not Chris Eubank.
It's not Chris. It's definitely not Chris Eubank.
Is that why I'm right?
Yeah. And when I say you're half right, well, I'm not saying it's Chris Eubank Jr.
Oh, right, okay.
So, yeah.
Is it called Chris?
It is called Chris.
Chris Martin?
It is Chris Martin
from
Coldplay.
I wonder why you know that.
Well, because I'm a fan of Coldplay. And, but yeah, apparently, originally, I think there is actually some recordings knocking around on YouTube, but there is a recording of him. He sang it originally, and his record company said, "No, we don't want you on that song." So my skin's got to record.
There was a version after the World Cup around that sort of time. I think it was when possibly David Beckham missed a penalty, did he?
It could have been any World Cup, that, to be fair, the amount of times he missed.
But I think it was Dry Your Eyes, Becks, it was rewritten.
Yeah, right. Okay.
At the time when Zidane scored against us in the qualifying rounds or something like that, if you remember that.
He scored 2 goals quickly.
But there was a good version of, if anyone wants to look it up, Dry Your Eyes, Becks. It's a particularly good football song. Even Gary Neville's in it, or somebody doing an impression of Gary Neville anyway.
But also, that wasn't actually the apology I was going to put in. In the last episode, do you remember when we first started doing this podcast years and years and years ago?
Yeah.
We frequently used to mention one particular person.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a comedy figure at the time. Can you remember him?
John Terry.
John Terry. And I think, actually, I don't think we've mentioned him at all pretty much since we've started recording again a few years ago. We've managed to be a John Terry free zone. But I thought...
a great start to 2020.
Hey! We're back to the good old material that they used to have. Yeah, people love the stuff about John Terry, didn't they? I nearly saw him.
Oh, yeah?
I was at a hotel recently, and shortly after I left, he arrived at the hotel.
Right, okay.
It was... Aston Villa were playing against Sheffield United, and they were staying over at a hotel that I'd been at during the day. And then I left, and he turned up and apparently was there. And some people would say, they said, were you there when John Terry was there? I said, no, I'd heard he was in the area, so I went down to check on my wife. But I missed him, so wouldn't have been great if I got a chance to see him there, you know, in his Chelsea tracksuit. It
would have been. So, on to news then. We're going to not do too much of it because we've got because it is obviously our 51st episode and it's our first episode of this year, we've got some review of last year to do, haven't we? We know we like to look back over the last year, and I've got something really special lined up for you, Fisher.
Oh, wonderful.
You're gonna like it. And I'm not talking about sitting on sausages or was it Sit on My Sausage or something, that game we created, or
Sniff My Sausage, I can't remember.
Sniff, Lick or Fondle. It's nothing like that. You're going to really enjoy it. This time you really are going to enjoy this quiz I've made for you.
Right. Is it purely a verbal quiz?
It's verbal.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So no actions intended, no getting up, no running around, no sitting or sniffing anything, nothing at all. But anyway, so we'll get straight on to the news first though. Northern Rail. Now, what great... I don't know if it was a good thing to read it or a bad thing, or... I mean, a bit of a strange one, weren't it? Because on the day that rail fares went up another however many percent...
2 and a bit percent, I think, yeah.
The government decided to sort of get their own stories out there, didn't they? And some would say to maybe like, I don't know, hide the fact that rail prices have been risen or whatever, and by saying or by starting stories about or sort of generating stories about rail firms losing their franchise, and Northern Rail was one of those, weren't they?
Yeah, I told an hilarious joke on last podcast about ScotsRail losing their franchise and saying that.
Do you want to repeat it for today's?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you've heard, Jimbo, but the government has said to Northern Rail that they might be losing their franchise early.
Have they?
Yes. Northern Rail's written back and asked for a few clarifications.
Have they?
Yes. They said they don't know what the word early means.
So, yeah.
Where's that symbol noise we sometimes have?
Okay. Okay, now, there we go, okay.
So, yeah, is it good news, bad news? I don't know. I mean, I think
we want trains, don't we?
We do. It's quite...
But ideally, I think Northern Rail have probably had a fair crack at it. Well, not really. Well, they've not really done anything, have they? They've come in. I mean, they got took over a few years ago, didn't they? By Arriva, was it again? So Northern Rail were owned by somebody else, and Arriva picked them up. And
I mean, it's good that the government has stepped in and taken decisive action against this train company that's been operating since 2015, when they were awarded the contract by
this government.
The Conservatives, yes. It is quite interesting, though, that the Conservatives' answer to it is trying to nationalise it, which is exactly the opposite of what they have generally done over the last over many years. But I suppose it's just frustrating, isn't it? It's frustrating it has to get taken away from them because the service is so bad.
But hopefully it could be seen that if it does get nationalised, it might work better. Who knows? It might not, but, you know.
Probably just get privatised again.
Ultimately, we still need new trains, don't we? And there's no sign of them.
Yes.
So, but anyway, or not on our rail network anyway. And we'll continue to moan well into 2020 about the state of our trains, won't we?
Yeah. But in slightly better news, Donald Trump has killed an Iranian military leader, hasn't he?
Better news?
Well, probably less controversial news. Have we got any jokes about that?
Not particularly, other than I I probably speak the same for everybody else, that I'm a little bit worried about the future. I'm already training very hard just in case I'm called up.
A Navy SEAL, is that why you've been swimming?
No, I'm training hard so I can run away if I do get called up. But that's why I'm going swimming, yeah, just in case. So Iran have, they're not too happy about it, are they?
Well, it was an Iranian leader who was in Iraq at the time, I think, wasn't he?
Right, okay.
Apparently. I've not really read that much on the story or seen that much about it. I did see today that apparently he's had the world's most highly attended funeral. So it's always good to be well known.
I did see, I saw a funny sort of picture on Facebook or Twitter the other day, and it was Donald Trump trying to talk to his Alexa.
Oh, right, okay.
Saying something about asking Alexa to tell him how far he'd ran or
how many miles have I ran?
Yeah, and instead, it's changed it to send missiles to Iran or something like that.
Yeah,
like feasible. Like that could be something Donald Trump did.
It could do, yeah.
Do you think Donald Trump has got his missiles? Like, these days people don't want to push buttons, do they? They want to voice activate everything. Do you think? I mean, it's dangerous around Donald Trump, isn't it, for anything like that?
Yeah. But imagine that if it is voice activated and he says, "I am not going to send missiles to Iran." Sending. Sorry. Oh God, no, I said I wasn't doing it. I think they've had it before, haven't they?
I'm still hoping his actual missile button just releases lots of balloons or something instead, and somebody during his presidency has come in and thought, you know what, he shouldn't be in charge of that button. Let's replace it with some inflatable balloons or something silly like, I don't know, confetti or I don't know, something daft.
I suppose it's probably the most controversial moment in terms of US history and sort of wars with other countries since back in the 1970s when Fidel Castro was walking along in... You might want to get your symbol ready, by the way. When Fidel Castro was walking along in the supermarkets and someone asked him where the potatoes were. So they sent him down to the exact location, but unfortunately he got confused and walked down on the thing next to it. It was the Cuban Missile Crisis.
There you go. I mean, but Bernie Sanders has sort of spoken out again, hasn't he? Because he's some people would say he's the American equivalent to
Jeremy Corbyn.
Jeremy Corbyn here. So he's the one that's sort of, standing up for peace and negotiation rather than war and all that kind of thing. Bernie Sanders has sort of recorded a video straight after this killing of the Iranian war. What is he? War?
Is he a military leader?
Military leader.
I don't quite know.
So Bernie Sanders spoke out saying, "Look, I stood up for this country against the Vietnam War, against the Iraq War, and I'm going to do the same just now." That's good to see someone like Bernie Sanders doing that. And his brother, the Colonel, coming out with these vegan burgers as well.
Has he got better things to do with this time? Get your priorities right.
They know what they're doing, don't they, the Sanders?
Yes, yeah, very good.
Anyway, what else we want to talk about here? So, The Masked Singer, you were telling me about this.
I was, yeah.
In before we started recording. This sounds, television, especially sort of mainstream television, and all these reality shows, X Factor, they're getting a bit boring, a bit dull. I mean, Strictly kind of holds up itself, doesn't it, a little bit? But sort of The Voice, X Factor, they've been dipping a little bit, haven't they, in years? But there's a new TV programme on the block, is that right?
There is. I mean, obviously, episode 50, we start recording this, which we're doing again in episode 51. So we are now unmasked.
Yeah.
People know who we are, they know what we look like. I don't always wear the Christmas jumpers, by the way, if you're watching. But The Masked Singer, people wear quite elaborate costumes. And they're singing whilst being completely covered up, the celebrities, and ultimately the worst singer each week or worst entertainer is voted off. But there's a panel of judges who have to guess who they think the singer is inside the costume, which is fairly pointless because it doesn't really... I don't think a judge actually gets anything for guessing the singer correctly. But the first two people to be voted off were Patsy Palmer, who played Bianca in EastEnders.
Ricky,
that's the one, yeah. You do impressions as well?
Yes, occasionally.
Okay. Yeah. Can you do William Hague?
No, you do a good William Hague, though. Why is he on it?
Well, I don't really know, Jimbo. I don't think he is. But a politician was on there.
Yeah.
Alan Johnson.
Right, okay.
Former Home Secretary. Former holder of one of the four great offices of state. And do you know what he's doing a few years later, having been Home Secretary? He's appearing on The Masked Singer,
All right, okay.
dressed as a pharaoh.
Right, okay.
Guess what he sang?
It's got to be Walk Like an Egyptian.
It was Walk Like an Egyptian, yeah.
Well, I saw some of the sort of trial runs of this show.
Oh.
Kind of because they have to rehearse. They're not going to have they had more celebrities than they needed to see which ones were going to be good and entertaining and all that kind of thing. And somebody in some sort of random weird costume was dressed up, and they were singing Nelly Furtado, Man Eater.
Yeah.
Well, it was supposed to be Man Eater, but it was coming out as Man Beater, and it turned out to be Caroline Flack. But anyway, did you want to talk about Caroline Flack and Love Island?
Well, I think after that joke, I'm not sure we've got much more to add on it. But Love Island is starting again next week.
Yeah, and the most shocking news I heard is that what do we call him? The new singer. There's the singer who everyone knows. I mean, obviously this is how well I keep up to date with modern music.
The singer who everyone knows. Alan Johnson.
No, not Alan Johnson. The what do you call him?
Singer who everyone knows. Stormzy.
No, the ugly one. The one that looks like he's a potato smiley face.
Wayne Rooney.
No. I can't remember his name.
Ed Sheeran?
No, keep going.
Sorry, Ed. What, English?
He's Scottish, I think. No, he's related to the Doctor.
Lewis Capaldi.
Lewis Capaldi, that's it. Got there in the end.
Yeah.
So Lewis Capaldi, his ex is on Love Island.
Oh, right, okay. So he actually had a girlfriend.
That's exactly what my point.
Right.
Yeah, but how and who? Yeah. But anyway, I mean,
he's got a good personality, Lewis. He seems quite amusing whenever you see him on his videos.
No, he is. He
takes a piss out of Liam Gallagher, and when he said who's this?
Yeah, I kind of felt a bit sorry for him because he really took a lot of inspiration from Liam Gallagher and Oasis, and he admits to being a big fan, but then all they could do back to him were kind of give him abuse, weren't it? So,
well, didn't he go out at Glastonbury dressed as Liam Gallagher? Walked out like that.
Yeah, they always say never meet your heroes, don't they? So it's why we don't do public appearances, to be fair, because we'll just be a letdown ultimately, won't we?
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, Love Island's back on. Caroline Flack is not presenting it. Do you know who she's been replaced by?
Is it Rylan?
It's not Rylan.
Oh.
It is Laura Whitmore, apparently, who goes out with Ian Sterling, who's the voiceover person on Love Island.
All right, okay.
You've never seen it, really, have you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, all right, okay. Oh, you claim you haven't.
I watched it not last season, the season before.
Oh, but Ian Sterling says, "Welcome to Love Island." That one. William Hague and Ian Sterling all in one show.
There you go.
So she goes out with him, and Caroline Flack is not on it after she allegedly was involved in an incident with her boyfriend. Is it alleged that she threw a phone at him?
Wasn't it a lamp?
I think
Did she hit him with a lamp or something?
Believe so, yeah. So I don't know if she possibly threw a phone.
Knocked his lights out.
Yay!
Anyway, last thing we want to... I mean, do we want to mention Harvey Weinstein using his phone in court?
Of course.
If he's not in trouble enough already.
What a great segue in, actually, from Caroline Flack on the phone to Harvey... Yeah. That must be why we thought of it. Harvey Weinstein has been in court today. He's now on a Zimmer frame as well, sort of poor fella. I'm sure everyone sympathises with him. Isn't it amazing that it just happens to me now that he falls quite unwell and can barely even walk? And apparently he's been told off for using his mobile phone in court. Although he had a good excuse, he said he was just taking a picture of the woman who was judged because she was exceptionally attractive.
Fair enough.
Moving on.
Anyway. So, I worked very hard on this today, Fisher. Okay. Now, of course, it's the end of year, the start of a new year. And I thought, you're doing a bit of a quiz of the year, aren't you?
A bit of a quiz. I'm doing a very comprehensive quiz of the year.
So
I've got 12 questions, one for each month of the year. Although it didn't actually happen in each month.
And we're not doing that now. We're doing that later. Is that right?
That's right.
So now I'm going to do a quiz, okay? Mm-hmm. And this quiz is called... I don't know if I want some sort of fanfare or something because I'm so proud of it. But I think this might work quite well.
It's the Hogmanay song, yeah.
The Big Fat Fish of the Year.
Hey! Thank you.
So...
To Auld Lang Syne. Does anyone know the actual words to Auld Lang Syne?
I don't think so, no.
Old lang syne.
It's normally drowned out by the fireworks.
Pretty much, yeah.
But anyway, which are drowned out by the smoke. For anybody who wants to go down and watch them, apparently you can't see them, can you? Because there's so much smoke, you can't see the fireworks.
I've never been.
On the telly you can.
Yeah.
Mad. Anyway, so I have done a quiz about you and your year 2019.
Oh my god.
So you have got to try and remember all of these things that you did across the year and what the answers are to this quiz.
Right.
So I've got 17 questions. You're going to be surprised how much I know about you. 17 questions about your year, and you've got to try and see how many of them you can get right out of 17. So I want an estimation from you.
Right.
Out of 17 questions, how many, and it's about you and your year, how many can you get correct, do you think?
I'd like to think I can get most of them correct, because I'd like to think I was involved in the majority of them. So, yeah, well, I surely should get at least 15 out of 17.
So 15 out of 17.
Yeah. Are these multiple choice, or are they...
No,
Right.
I think it's too easy for giving multiple choice,
Right.
so...
But surely I'll know... Surely, how do you know the answers are not me?
Well, we will see.
Right.
Are we ready? So 17 questions.
Yeah.
And we start now. Now, which order do you want to... Do you want to work from last January forwards, or do you want to work backwards from December?
We're going chronological order.
So you want to go from January?
Oh, I'm impressed you know what the word chronological means, yes. We'll go from January.
So...
where have you actually found this information from, by the way?
we will... Well, you might be able to work that out later
Right.
on. I'm not
Social
sure.
media?
Possibly, maybe.
Right.
Maybe it's a warning for you about how much you share.
Yeah. Have you got any photos?
Well, I could have. I realise now that I actually could have because we are on video.
Yeah.
So maybe I might be able to somehow get some photographic evidence of something
Right, okay.
if I can. But I'll look into that a little bit later on. Okay, so first then, back in January, okay, sorry, I'm making all those noise here. Back in January, you bought something new for your toolbox. What was it?
Something new from a toolbox. So I presume I went for. Well, I did quite a lot. I did a lot of tiling in January. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if it's anything to do with that. So it could be a new grout float, or it could be some tile adhesive spreader.
I'll give you a clue. You are in the right area, but I want to give you a bit more of a clue. You described this
I know what it was.
item
I know what it was. Yeah, you don't even need to give me a clue.
as being part of Mickey Flanagan's own branded range of tools.
Yes, it was to do the grouting beforehand. It was a device called Grout Out.
Well done, you are correct. Well done. So it was called Grout Out, and do you want me to try and find an image of it for you?
No, that's right. I don't know what it looks like.
Are you sure? Okay,
yeah.
fair enough. So, number 2, back in January as well, you went out for a coffee with your wife, Vicky.
Yep.
But what were you unimpressed with?
Oh, it could have been a couple of things. We often go to some of these more artisanal coffee places on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and what I don't like is people who drink flat whites, who probably don't know what they're drinking, but they think it's cool to drink flat whites. They've probably got sort of hipster-style beards, so it might be hipsters, but it might actually be the spoon that I got the coffee with. So it might be a fairly strange multicoloured spoon on the coffee, or alternatively, the other thing it could be is the pattern that was on top of my coffee that's made by the barista.
I need one answer.
I definitely said I wasn't too happy with a spoon.
I'll give you that. So the spoon was black.
Yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with black spoons, of course.
Yeah.
But you were more disappointed. Maybe you are a bit more sort of Brexit party than you might think. But you were disappointed it wasn't Sheffield steel.
Yes, sorry, that was my gripe on that occasion. Which, for a place that is noted for making some of the best cutlery in the world, we were using some fancy coloured cutlery, which I wasn't too impressed with.
So, Fisher, you are doing dry January this month, and you're hoping to do 100 days. That's your sort of target.
Yep.
So not just January this time. But what date did you have your first pint following dry January last year? What date was it?
What date was it? I was going to say I'm allowed to look through and see what calendar is. Where would I have had it? I would undoubtedly have taken a picture of it and put it on Instagram. I would have thought. And I think it was probably a pint. Oh, I think it might have been a pint of ale in my local pub. Actually, that might have put a picture on. So I don't think I did it on 1st of February. I think it was probably 2nd of February.
And what's your final answer?
2nd of February.
Well done. 3 out of 3. I don't think looking at it, it didn't look like ale. It looked more like a Veltins or something like that. So a posh lager, maybe, if you want to put it like that. Next then. Back in February, you were shopping in your local Asda and were caught by surprise by what?
Now I think I don't often. I'm assuming all these come from my Instagram feed, by the way. Or the majority appear to be so far. I think I Instagrammed a picture of a carrot that was stuck out in the aisle, and it definitely looked like it was like an aubergine style emoji kind of thing. It was definitely a phallic shaped carrot, and therefore had intentionally been placed to stick out to make it look like.
Had they gone and got some kiwis and put them at the base?
They should have done, basically. That was all that was missing. So I think that's what it was.
Well done, 4 out of 4. I did, to be fair, I came off social media this year for quite a while, so you won't be able to get much from mine.
Right.
But
you can guarantee I'm going to for the next episode.
But I came back on to have a look at yours, and I've been missing out, Fisher, and I've been through your year, and you've had a great year, haven't you?
Oh, yeah,
these are the highlights, of course. So, number 5, what was unusual about the pub you had a drink in on the 9th of February for your birthday?
What was unusual about it? 9th of February for my birthday. So my birthday this year was on a... I have actually got something amusing to tell you about this afterwards when we're not recording.
Why not when we're recording?
Yeah, you don't know it when we're recording.
Okay.
It is... So it went... The 9th... I went into town.
Okay.
It was a Saturday. I went to town. I had something to eat.
It's not an interrogation. Where were you at this time? If the police do call you because something happened, we're trying to work on your memory. Yeah?
This is proof that I've got a good memory, by the way, if any police are watching this. I went to a bar that was a form of public toilets.
Well done, yeah.
And strange, I don't know, actually. Is the next question anything in relation to what I'm going to say? Because it didn't sell pints. It sold 2/3 of a pint.
Oh, right, okay.
And also, it got sort of 2 reviews on the menu, drinks menu.
They should have got like toilet seats, like mini toilets for you to drink out of.
That would be a bit disgusting.
And you could flush them into your mouth.
Well, it's a bit weird when you go to the actual toilets in this place as well, which are sort of futuristic from the space age as opposed to the old public toilets. But it's actually got the genuine tiling still on the wall.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Now you're a keen tiler yourself.
Yeah. I can pass professional comment on that. Hey, and tell you what, all those tiles that I stuck on that wall are still there.
Number 6. A Valentine's card that you found while browsing had what greeting on the front that confused you slightly?
It said on it... Oh, what did it say on it now? It said on it to... It was... I think it's one of these cards that you can send, like, as a Valentine's card, but not sent to your lover.
Right.
So, your child can send you, like, a Valentine's card to the mum and dad. So I think it was one of those. But I think it said something along the lines of, to the world's best girlfriends or something like that. And I said, this woman sounds like she's a bit of a slag. Oh. Or something along those lines. I can't remember.
I don't think it's close enough. I think you're in the right area, but it's not close enough. I'm not going to give you that one. So the card on it said, 2 husbands, 1 love to share.
Yeah, sorry.
And you was a bit confused thinking, has this woman got 2 husbands?
Yeah. Which obviously I'm assuming it's sort of 2 men who are sending it, a man who's sending it to their husband.
Yeah.
Is what I assume has actually happened, yeah.
There you go. Did you buy it?
I didn't, no.
No. Anyway. So, number 7. Describe the tie you were wearing when you went to meet your nephews for the first time.
Oh, well, I was dressed very smart. My nephews who were born on the 24th of February, 2019. I remember that, thank you. And I thought it was important to make a good first impression and dress smart for them. I was told...
Did you not just come straight from work?
I just come straight from work, but I made sure I wore a tie on that particular day. I was told on Facebook afterwards that someone said I was holding one of the babies like it was a bomb. Although I would say that you would actually hold the bomb quite carefully, so it's quite good to hold the baby carefully as well. but I was wearing a blue tie with sort of a flowery white silvery pattern on it. Like a paisley type tie, I suppose.
Was it the tie that I commented on in the pub the other day? Oops.
Oh, hang on. This is a big question.
What was it? Was it that?
I don't think so. I can't remember wearing a tie in the pub. Actually, yes, it was.
There we go.
So on Friday, yes, I did wear that same tie on Friday.
We like to add a bit of drama just to a standard, any sort of random question, don't we? Anyway, what are we going with next? So, number 8, on your holiday in Portugal in March, you lost at Crazy Golf to your wife. What was the name of the Crazy Golf facility?
Oh, my wife, by the way, on a Crazy Golf par 5, she got a hole in one, and I had to actually research what that was called. And it turns out, bloody lucky.
Right.
No, sorry, a condor is the correct terminology. I'm not sure if you've heard of birdie, eagle, albatross, condor. So hole in one, a par 5, obviously quite rare. But the golf facility is, I don't know what its actual name is, but I think it was at the Paul McGinley Golf Academy.
Well done. Congratulations. You also made a few comments that you're not allowed to call it Crazy Golf anymore.
Did I say it was called,
mini golf?
Mini golf, or learning disabilities golf, or something like that, probably.
Yeah, because you can't be calling things crazy anymore.
Yeah.
So easily, can you?
No.
Nutty golf.
That's even worse, surely.
Especially for people allergic to nuts.
Right, okay.
But anyway, so, on returning from your holiday, you were struck by a massive delay due to a faulty plane, but received a free €8 for food.
Yeah.
What did your wife claim she was going to spend it on?
I presume a drink, presumably a glass of wine.
Can you be more specific?
A bottle of wine, a bottle of red wine, white wine, Prosecco.
Ooh, yeah. So what we have, you've got 2 wrong so far. 2 out of 9 you've got wrong, so it means you've got 7 right. She was actually she commented saying she was going to spend it on a Costa coffee.
Oh,
but then it looked like you'd actually decided to spend it wisely.
Oh, I know what we spent it on.
On the Subway refills.
Bottomless drinks.
Very, very clever.
Yeah.
And you had your free Wi-Fi in there. Stop kicking the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
And you had your free Wi-Fi in there as well. Mm-hmm. So very well spent.
Yeah.
That was a long delay, wasn't it? I was going to ask you a question about how many planes you've been on this year, because it would have been more planes than you've actually flown on, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would have been actually. Yeah, because I got on the plane and then got off it.
And I thought that might trick you, but I didn't think of that until a bit later.
Yeah.
So
that would have been a very good question.
There you go. Next then, we've got a bit of cricket for you. We know you like cricket. Number 10. When watching cricket in May at a cricket ground near Hemsley, you found a street with an interesting name. What was it?
Did I?
No. Yes. You're gonna have to take your time with this. Don't give up. Keep going.
Oh no! That wasn't near Hemsley.
All right. Okay.
No, that was in.
It was the same day. It appeared to be.
I don't think it was the same. I think I might have put the pictures up on the same day.
Okay.
It was all part of the same weekend. The place was called Perseverance Place.
There you go.
And that is it's near Holmesworth. It's opposite a restaurant called The Catch, which is a fish restaurant, as the name suggests.
Yep. Okay.
And a very good fish restaurant at that, by the way. I would hasten to add.
Back in May, what annual charity fundraising gimmick might your brother have falsely got the impression you were doing in the wrong month?
Right. Now, I should probably give some context to this, which is that I was shaving at the time when my brother knocked on the door.
So it wasn't January, was it?
It definitely wasn't January. It was. I very much looked like I was participating in Movember, because at the point where he knocked at the door was just when I shaved off my beard and had got. Do you do this when you shave? When you shave your beard off?
You like to make patterns and do a little goatee.
You go through your George Michael. You might do your Beppe from EastEnders. I am often so unorganised that I shave without checking the battery, and then I get only half done, and then I have to do the other half the next day sometimes. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Jimbo. Question everyone wants to know: when you're shaving, do you do the Hitler moustache in the middle, or do you not?
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Anyway, but Freddie Mercury, you've got to go for the Freddie as well.
Yeah, Freddie.
Yeah. So anyway, 2 great performers. Joking, of course. Anyway, While attending a training course in London in June, you found the cost of hiring a deck chair
£8.
in a park in London. And how much did it cost for a full day?
It's £8. Oh, 13.
Being too quick has pulled you down there, Fisher. It was actually £9. £9. So
Still,
I think, have you got 3 wrong now then?
Bloody extortionate.
Is that 3?
What? Because I can't remember the price of a deck chair.
You've got 3 wrong out of a possible 11. Number 12. No, 12. Sorry. Number 13. In September, your dad retired after working at the same place for 46 years since he was 16 years old. But where did he work?
Schweppes, obviously.
Do you want to remind the listeners about this one?
Yeah. Jimbo, for some reason, always makes a joke that my dad works at Schweppes, but he doesn't. He worked for a steelworking firm in Sheffield.
Yeah, well done to him.
More popular now under German ownership, called Schweppes.
Oh, right. Is he enjoying his retirement?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, yeah.
There we go. So, what annoyed you at breakfast on your holiday in Tenerife?
Well, was it a man who looked like Donald Trump?
It wasn't, no. But there was somebody on your holiday who looked like Donald Trump.
Was it a Scottish man who ate loads and loads of bacon?
I wonder if he's eating bacon this month.
I think he was probably still. He would. The amount he took, he ate bacon all the time.
It really annoyed you, that, didn't it?
Well, I thought it was a bit unnecessary when there's like other people who might want some bacon. And he just took loads of it.
Anyway, there you go. So you got that one right. What task left you dirty and needing a shower in October? Oh, we're getting tasty now.
Recording this podcast.
Yeah, I didn't get this one from Instagram.
Was it? Oh, it was oil wrestling, wasn't it? Again, no, it was. I think it was sweeping out my chimney, which again I would actually say was actually sweeping out a chimney.
Not a euphemism.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well done, you got that right. And then I think we've got 2 more. In November, you returned to Loughborough University for a cricket meeting. I think it was a cricket meeting.
Yep.
You were shocked at the price of the pints there these days. How much were they?
Oh, you got Star of Pramen, and I think it was... There's a few times I've complained about the price stuff, haven't I? I think it was £4 a pint.
Well done, yeah. Not like your student days.
Definitely not. None of this John Smith for £1.50 a time.
And then finally, this could be a bit easier as some of the last ones might have been more recent, but what did you do from a great height in December?
From a great height?
At a great height.
Well, I was on the top of a building in Amsterdam in December. So, in particular, I put a picture on Instagram of a very nice scenic view while I was going to the toilet. You'd actually got a big glass panel in front of you so you could see out over the harbour around the back of Amsterdam Central Station. So I'd say I went to the toilet with a nice view.
Well done. So I asked you there 17 questions about your year. You got 3 of them wrong, so 14 out of 17. I don't think that's too bad at all.
I think that's all right, yeah.
Did you enjoy that quiz about your year? Has it taken you back?
Not really. Well, I've had a very good year, but I didn't really enjoy the subject matter that much.
Why?
I would say that for certain, definitely next time, you're going to ask questions about your year.
Okay then, but you're going to ask some proper questions about the last year in news and politics and everything else now, is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
So, obviously, questions about things that happened last year. So stranger, I am actually involved in one of these questions.
I'm not giving away the answer already, am I?
No, but you can maybe try and guess which one that I have some sort of vague involvement with.
Okay.
So 12 questions for listeners or viewers who've not sort of listened to this or watched this before. We tend to do at the end of the year a bit of a quiz about some of the strange news stories that have happened. So I've gone and done one this year. So, what is true about Australian Prime Ministers? Is it that the faith held in politicians is that low in Australia that when the public were asked to name a politician they trusted the most, they chose the Prime Minister of New Zealand? Or is it that Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison had to wear an eye patch for 3 weeks after he was hit in the face by a cricket ball and shards of glass from his glass had shattered in his eye?
Oh, we've not had this question before on the podcast then?
Don't think so, no.
No? Okay. Well, they do like cricket in Australia.
They do.
I'm not sure about politics and how... and you don't particularly hear of much unrest in politics in Australia, really. And they seem to be quite a content country most of the time. Obviously not at the minute.
No, not with the bushfires.
It's horrible, isn't it? If you look at the satellite images, I didn't realise how much it was of Australia. So hopefully that sorts itself out soon. I'm going to go with the second one, the eye patch
cricket ball in the face.
Yeah.
And you would be wrong. Australia have had quite a lot of prime ministers in the last few years. Julia Gillard, Kevin Rudd. I think there's a couple more in there whose names I can't remember. But the
Harold, has he been? Yeah.
Harold Bishop, no. Tell you what, he would be a good person to unify Australia, you would have thought. But the Prime Minister of Australia, do you know what he did recently? Obviously, they've had a lot of forest fires. Do you know what action he took early December or mid-December?
At a barbecue?
No, he went on holiday to Hawaii.
Oh, right, okay.
Which obviously didn't go down very well.
Is he there with Boris? He's sunning himself as well, isn't he, while everything's going...
I can't remember where he went to. I suppose, to be fair to Boris, a very apt sort of statement about what Boris gets up to, saying it's gone tits up, obviously. But I suppose if he was at home at Christmas, it must be a nightmare, because he's got to go around and visit all his kids on Christmas Day. I mean, that must be absolutely tiring for him, so obviously he's taking himself away quite sensibly. So, Karl Lagerfeld died this year. What's true about him? Is it that he's well known for his love of animals, and his California mansion had a large swimming pool shaped like a pair of his famous sunglasses, which homed 4 dolphins? Or is it his cat has a modelling contract, and she earned over £2.3 million advertising cars and cosmetics?
Well, if he's keen on animals, I would imagine that he wouldn't think the best place for dolphins would be in his back garden, in his swimming pools.
Swimming pool shaped like sunglasses.
Like sunglasses. So, although it would protect the dolphins from sunburn.
Of course. And make sure they don't get the sun in their eyes.
Exactly, yeah.
Actually, no, sunglasses don't protect you from sunburn.
No, they don't, do they? Well, they do, I think.
Well, a certain bit of it will. You get a very small amount just around the rim of your eyes, but in general, they're more...
I think the cat one.
His cat's got a modelling contract? Yeah. You are correct. Apparently, Karl Lagerfeld apparently as a young person, when he was starting to get into sort of the fashion industry, claimed that his dad was a well-known chief executive and his mum was whatever she was. Turned out he was just a fairly ordinary bloke from a sort of normal suburban area of Germany as opposed to anything particularly unusual or posh.
His cat's got a modelling contract?
Yes.
And does it do a catwalk?
Hey!
All over it?
Hey! Thank you.
Got a symbol. There we go.
And also his name Lagerfeld is incorrectly spelled. He changed the spelling of his surname.
All right, okay.
He used to be called Karl Lagerfeld with a T on the end of it, and he got rid of the T.
All right, okay.
So there we go. Just to make it sound a bit more.
Why don't you just get rid of your R and just be called Fish?
I don't know. I have got a 6-year-old niece who calls me Uncle Crisp, which is really annoying, really. But never mind. So what did the Mexican state of Quintana Roo declare a state of emergency of over this year?
Donald Trump.
So, not that I'm aware of, although that wouldn't surprise me. So, Quintana Roo in Mexico. You've been there, I think, as have I. Not together. So, an influx of American students celebrating spring break became so excessive that supplies of tequila in the region started to run dry, and emergency procedures were put in place to source the alcohol from other regions. Or was it there was so much rotting seaweed on the beach that it started to release hydrogen sulfide, which smelled like rotting eggs, and drove away a lot of tourists?
I know this because when I went to Mexico...
You drank so much tequila.
A long time ago. There was a lot of seaweed on the beach, and people actually had jobs scooping up the seaweed and burying it. So seaweed is an issue, and it does affect tourism because you can go out into the sea and you kind of get tangled in it and everything. So I'm going to go with the seaweed, I think.
When you say you know it, I mean, I've also been to that, seen exactly the same problem. So do you think that would have been a good fake answer for me to make up?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with it now.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yes.
So yes, that was the tequila thing was purely made up. So in terms of US citizens in Europe, which is true about US citizens in Europe, is it that all visitors to Austria who lose their passport are able to go to a McDonald's in Austria where they will be given access to a 24-hour hotline to the main US embassy in Vienna?
And that's a this year thing?
2019,
19,
so
yeah,
last
sorry.
year. Is it that all US visitors to Austria, so did I say Austria or Australia?
Austria.
Who lose their passport are able to go to McDonald's in Austria, where they'll be given access to a 24-hour hotline to contact the main US embassy in Vienna? Or is it that a rogue employee at Nicholas Copernicus Airport in Wrocław, Poland, stamped US citizen passports with a homemade stamp saying, "Welcome to Poland, we hate Donald Trump"? This was uncovered after around 3 hours, and he was promptly sacked.
Let's go with. I want to go with the one I want it to be real, and I think it's the Donald Trump stamp ones.
Donald Trump one?
Yeah.
You are incorrect.
Oh.
It's yes, it was that all visitors who lose their passports, American visitors in Australia lose passport. You're told that you can go to your local McDonald's. I think there's about 120 odd branches of McDonald's. They've got a 24-hour hotline. They have clarified that it's not actually an official embassy, so you can't claim diplomatic immunity whilst in there. But it will be a good place to claim diplomatic immunity, and you get free food.
Yeah,
So,
of course. Yeah.
Well, actually, not necessarily free. Pay for it, but
Well, yeah.
you get food at the place where you're at. It's better than Julian Assange.
Mm-hmm.
Who did have to sleep in the toilets at the Ecuadorian embassy?
Yeah,
the
did
quietest bit, yeah.
Mm.
I think around the back of the building, so it was a bit quieter. So, Kazakhstan national Aslan Saganorov was arrested by the overly keen national police this year. Why? Was it that he held up a wordless white placard in the manner of a protester, and the local police arrested him but wouldn't give a reason? He was later released without charge. Or was it to celebrate the release of a film in early 2019 featuring his favourite comedians, Laurel and Hardy? He created an advert for the film featuring what he said detailed the life of Kazakhstan Laurel, and he was arrested for promoting foreign work and being disrespectful to his nation.
Okay.
So did he basically just hold up a placard that said nothing on it?
I went to see this film,
Did
the Laurel and Hardy film, last January, actually, I think it was. Really good, actually. It's Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other guy, to be honest.
It's an American, I think, isn't he?
Yeah. But great film.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the first one. They held up a placard with nothing on it.
You will be correct. Yeah, and he was arrested. I think when they arrested him, said they'll tell him later on why he's arrested, but then found there was actually no reason to arrest him whatsoever. So, on to America. That's a great source of places for these weird news stories. Following 11 people contracting a specific strain of salmonella across 8 different states, what did the US Centre for Disease Control have to issue an official warning for? Was it to tell people not to kiss or snuggle their hedgehogs, or was it to tell people not to prepare food in their bathroom?
I don't know if salmonella comes from hedgehogs. I don't know if that's a source of... I mean, I'm sure there are issues, but cuddling your hedgehogs... I mean, they're not very cuddly, are they?
It's spiked every time.
And in America, aren't they like porcupines?
Yeah.
Do they even have hedgehogs in America? I suppose they do, but aren't they like porcupines? Are they slightly different?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Well, I presume so.
So I'm going to go with not to prepare food in your bathroom.
Okay, and you will be wrong.
Oh.
Apparently, a fair few people getting ill from kissing and snuggling hedgehogs.
Right, okay.
Presumably at night, because that's only when they come out. So.
Yeah. Of course.
There we go. So, staying in North America, a greengrocer in Vancouver. What did he do to try and help the environment? Was it? He offered to buy carrier bags off people for 10 cents. However, this led to people buying carrier bags for 5 cents from other stores and then selling them back to him for a small profit. After around 2 weeks, he had to stop as he was losing so much money that it nearly went bust. Or is it he discouraged people from using plastic bags by putting embarrassing slogans on them, such as referring to his shop as a colon care centre and a weird adult video store. The bags ultimately became collector's items.
That's brilliant. That's a great... that is a great thing. I think that's hilarious. I want it to be the second one. So I'm going to go again with the one I want it to be, rather than the one I think it actually could be. I'm going to go with the slogans and the names on the bags.
That then became collector's items.
Yeah.
You will be correct. Well done. Now, obviously, we move on to the finest sport in the world, cricket. And how did cricket get a kick in the teeth the day after the World Cup final? Was it that the date was the same as the launch of an NHS campaign to encourage children to play active sports during the school holidays? which includes athletics, football, racket sports, and cycling, but not cricket, snooker, and darts, which were listed as pastimes as they didn't involve much physical exercise? Or is it that, following the World Cup victory, Russia released a list of officially recognised sports in the country, cricket was left off, even though drafts was included?
I'm going to go with the first one on this occasion, I think.
That the NHS said cricket's not a sport.
Yeah.
That is incorrect.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad it's incorrect. Sorry, I got it wrong. There we go.
But it's not officially recognised in Russia.
Right, okay.
Strangely.
They might recognise it now because they can't play in anything else, can they?
Well, yeah, good point, yeah. There's no point in taking drugs to sort of improve your performance at sport, is there? Although I did see a doctor this year and they were talking about how much exercise I did, and they said that playing cricket is not really that much exercise.
Did they?
Yeah. Which I thought was a bit inappropriate, isn't it? Yeah, right?
Yeah, take up darts instead.
Yeah. To be honest, when she said that, I nearly choked on my dodo. It was disgraceful. So how did climate change protesters in London embarrass themselves in June 2019? Was it that climate change protesters accidentally set fire to one of their banners, which was made of plastic and gave off a green flame and toxic smoke? It was promptly put out by embarrassed protesters. Or is it their protest outside Drax office which prevented many people from getting into work and was poorly aimed, as Drax had moved out of the building and a fellow occupant was one of Europe's biggest producers of renewable energy?
Now, this one has featured in our podcast before, and I think it's this question that might relate to you.
Yep.
Is it?
It is.
So
yeah.
It's the one where they went outside the wrong building.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Was you working in London that day or something?
I was, and particularly I've actually been in that building on a number of occasions, and the protesters were stood outside the wrong. They were protesting about a company that was no longer there, and I think they then went to go and protest outside their local bank that this company used, and also this company's auditors. But obviously, what they didn't quite understand was that the new occupants were sort of particularly big on renewable energy. It prevented them from getting into work on that day. But there we go. So, how did a ceremony to promote local business in Preston sort of end up with a slightly controversial end? So this is a Preston award ceremony to promote local business. Was it that Nando's won the award for best restaurants and the best pub of the year was won by Wetherspoons? Or was it the Tap and Mallet won pub of the year, which is based in Leyland, not Preston, and the Wild Goose won restaurant of the year? However, that's in the Ribble Valley and not in Preston.
I would like to think that that an award ceremony like that is not going to award Wetherspoons and Nando's an award for stuff like that, and the mistake could have a bit more easily been something just outside of the region it was supposed to be. So let's go with that one.
You will be wrong. I will at some point. I will dig out the details and tell you who was. I can't remember the name of the pub that came second. Nando's definitely came first in the restaurant. Wetherspoons came first in the pub of the year. Best customer service. Have a guess who won best customer service? Local business. Best customer service in the entire region. A branch of Greg's won best customer service. And the second place for restaurant of the year was quite an amusingly named restaurant as well. So I'll find that out for the next episode. But yeah, I was quite shocked when I saw that.
That's that's like the local podcasting awards that we go to round here, isn't it? And I think the Chris Evans Breakfast Show podcast won the best podcast of the year. Well, we're not going to have a chance, are we?
Is there any other Chapeltown podcast? I'm not aware of any.
Not sure about Chapeltown. We could stand up and say we may be the only Chapeltown-based podcast.
Yeah.
Stand up and say.
Yeah. No, sit down. You're not in front of the microphone anymore. So, next to last question. Do you know how many you've got so far, by the way? Are you keeping count? I think probably about half mark, something like that. It should be. I mean, it's only 50-50 guessing, so I'd be disappointed if you
your
got
questions were about you and you still got some wrong.
Oh, yeah, but it's kind of... Yeah, I didn't get any multiple choice, did I? And, I've got to try and remember the price of a deck chair in London. There was like in...
You moaned about it.
Well, no, I moaned about the price of everything. I'm from Yorkshire. It comes with the territory. So, during the Indian elections, why did a priest called Dashandus hit the headlines? Was it that he ran for election, but lost to someone who was already dead? He encouraged people to vote for his opponent to highlight the problem with deceased people voting in Indian elections. Or was it 5 voting officials travelled about 50 miles into the jungle to insert a polling station where he was the only registered voter.
And did you say he was a priest?
He was a priest, yes.
This is odd. Why would he live in a jungle where he can be the only voter?
I don't know.
Let's go with the first one.
That he was trying to promote the issue with dead people voting in elections. You'd be wrong. Apparently, he was kind of like a priest in a sort of a remote, sort of sacred part of the jungle. So I think he lived in some kind of cave or something along those lines. Inexplicably, they also actually put the polling station about a mile away from where he lived, as opposed to just putting it like next to where he lived, would have made more sense. I don't know. I've asked you a question before where it's referenced dead people voting in elections, or it did have a vain shoot of familiarity when I was trying to think of a fake answer.
Let me hold on a minute. Derek, you there? No, he says you've not asked me that before. No, sorry, I'm now a spiritual medium. As a vacancy came up.
Yeah, from Derek Akora. We've not really mentioned his death, have we?
No, we haven't. I mean, that's really where I got all the information about you, not on your Instagram. He's now my spiritual guide.
He's still alive, don't he? He just lives in the loft of an old manor house alongside a Victorian boy who never made it to school. Yeah. So, final question. Why did the Japanese port town of Susaki hit the headlines in January last year? Was it that one of their town's mascots, Chitan, a fairy baby who wears a turtle on his head...
A fairy baby?
Let me finish. Was party to various Jackass-style social media videos that seemed to indicate that he was a bad influence on Shinjoku, the town's other mascot, who was an otter with an item of crockery on its head. This resulted in Chitan being dropped as an official town mascot. Or was it that it was discovered that the town's mascots, the anime characters, Abashi, an environmentally conscious dragon, and Babashi...
With a spoon on its head?
No. He had no headwear. Or she. Gender neutral. Abashi, an environmentally conscious dragon, and Babashi, an origami-loving tanuki, which is a raccoon dog, were found to have various signature poses when read in semaphore, were making offensive remarks about the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. This was uncoded when some foreign sailors were literate in semaphore and noticed the problem. So the anime characters sort of like put their arms up like that, what have you, and their arms were positioned at the standard poses to make sort of offensive remarks in semaphore. You know the system with signaling the flags. Was it that, or was it that?
No, I think there was. I think there was a mascot. There was a dispute between the two mascots. I think it was a. I think there was the Jackass stunt ones.
Jackass style videos.
Yeah.
You would be correct. Yes, that was the year that was. What a strange, bizarre note to end it on. But I did think out of all the news stories I saw, that was probably the strangest one.
Just the fact that they've got random headwear, like a fairy baby with a turtle head,
a turtle on its head,
and what was the other one?
An otter, I think,
with some cutlery,
crockery,
a crockery on its head.
Yeah, a strange sort of Japanese bowl, I think, was on its head. I think he actually stopped because there was one strange video where he was taking things out of a locker at work, and he took a baseball bat out and walked off. It is Japan, so it's slightly unusual media over there.
They might listen to us then.
They're not that strange.
So there you go. That brings to an end our review of 2019 podcast, our first episode in 2020, though. Have you enjoyed it?
It's been really good. I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed you learning about your own year.
Yeah, remembering what happened.
And reviewing the last year as well. It's been pretty fun. And I've even half enjoyed the Piston Head non-alcoholic lager.
Have you finished
or
it?
beer. Yeah, I have actually. It's all right. I've not
still got a bit left. I'm not
tiny bit, but
I'm not that impressed with it really.
If you want to get in touch with us or suggest any better, because we've still got a couple. We've probably got another podcast or two before the end of your 100 days, haven't we? Mm-hmm. Hopefully more. But if anyone wants to suggest any lager or non-alcoholic beer that we can try, please do get in touch. Or for anything else, get in touch. Yeah. At Waste of Webspace is our Twitter account and Facebook. Or you can go to wasteofwebspace.co.uk. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.